All right, welcome to Michael's Record Collection. I'm here today with Chip Z'Nuff from the band Enuff Z'Nuff. Chip, thanks so much for your time today.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for talking to me.
Seems like a busy time for you guys. You've got coming out this Friday. I think it'll be a little bit in the past when this airs, but I think you've got the new Never Enuff rarities and demos package coming out. It's a 3 CD set or 4 LP vinyl LP albums. A lot of stuff there. You've got I understand a Beatles cover hard rock night coming up fairly soon. Seems like a busy time for you guys.
Well, we've certainly made it like that. We could sit around and confuse motion with progress, or we can try to make things happen where we stay busy and it feels good, and it's a creative time, and the fans are happy because they get new music. So we chose the latter. We made a few records, as a matter of fact. You have the Frontiers record that just came out, which is called Demos and Rarities, and that's material from when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to be intuitive enough to hold on to all those DAT tapes. And when we were approached by Cleopatra Records to do an album, we thought maybe it was in our best interest to let them hear the stuff. We already have a label in Italy called Frontiers, and they put out all the Enuff Z'Nuff music from the last 6-7 years. So we didn't want to confuse people, but we want to put music out there. And between myself and Donnie's management team, we made a deal with Cleopatra, with Brian Pereira, a wonderful guy, to put that the demos and rarities out. And then, of course, our obligation right now is to put out new music through Frontiers. Sounds a bit confusing, but it's really not. We got two homes. We're lucky.
Yeah.
And we made the first album we did was the Beatles. It's called Enuff Z'Nuff Hard Rock Night. It's all Beatles songs. And just picture Stone Temple Pilots and Cheap Trick in an alley fighting together. And some other rock star musician comes in and breaks it up. That's that record, to be honest with you. It's really paying homage to the Beatles. It's a very, very hard rock record, all analog recording. A lot of fun. We were in the studio playing live together. It was just very exciting to us. Very minimal overdubs. Mm-hmm. And we're paying respect to our forebears. The guy who invented my job, Paul McCartney. Ringo, great drumming.
Yeah.
John Lennon, fabulous songwriter, beautiful voice. And then, of course, the great George Harrison. Those are the guys right there that we're paying respect to in Sesame Street terms. And then we finished that record up. It comes out, I'm hoping, sometime in November. And from there, we'll then navigate these waters and put out the new solo record I have right now, which is called Perfectly Imperfect.
Okay.
With members of Whitesnake, Guns N' Roses, Cheap Trick, etc. 10-song record. Mm-hmm. They'll be on Frontiers as well. Don't know when we're going to put it out. I just make the records, come up with the songs, and that's already a challenge as it is. Although in this day and age, it's pretty simple because it's certainly a lot of subject matter out there. But just we make the records and then we put them out there and find maybe we get a chance to go out and tour on them. That's the best thing about making records is you get a chance to go out and work.
Yeah, you had been playing Magical Mystery Tour. Is that one of the songs on the new Beatles covers?
Yeah, it is, Michael. We thought that we should throw that in the set and let people know what to expect coming up. And plus, it was very challenging any time you got to play any Beatles song, especially starting the night off. I thought the fans are pretty impressive, to be honest with you. Come right out of the box with a strong hard rock Beatles song. Yeah. I know it trips my trigger.
Great. Before I get a little bit more into this rarities and demos box, which, by the way, I haven't seen the physical product, but the photos make the packaging look fantastic, and the colored vinyl fans will love the LPs.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your the way you approach music. Do you listen to music digitally these days?
I listen to music in any way possible, to be honest with you, and I listen to all different kind of music, whether it's Ed Sheeran, or I work on my way through to the new Jay-Z record or Kanye West. But my tastes obviously are deep inside rock and metal,
Hmm.
more hard rock than anything in pop music. I always loved that stuff. I think it's a big potpourri of music in my mind, and I want to hear everything that's going on out there. I think it's very important. And there's a lot of bands out there that aren't getting a break at all that I think are fabulous groups that just for some reason that haven't slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
Because we're in a day and age right now where there's too much product, not enough demand. And that's very unfortunate. And I think all bands really can do right now, you make a record, you go out and you got to try to find work and go tour,
Yeah.
get an agency to book you and try to play shows and reach people the old fashioned way, which is hitting the street. It's very difficult out there.
Yeah. And there's not,
Michael, getting back to what you were saying earlier on the record too. I really enjoyed what Frontiers did on the new stuff, but you can't beat the stuff that Brian Pereira and Cleopatra did with this Demos Rarity record, because they went out and they found Paul Natkin, who does stuff for Rolling Stones and Aerosmith, everybody, and got him to put all the artwork together. And that's what made the package so special, I think. Not necessarily all the songs, although songs are very important, and they're like newborn babies, you know, and you just try to coddle them and try to feed them and bring it into something that makes a lot of sense, and people will gravitate to them. But the artwork is the food. You know, that's what gets you see that and you go, this is exciting. And those old pictures, to have them still, that's a miracle right there. And kudos to the guys over at Cleopatra Records for pulling that stuff out of the box.
yeah. You know, you were talking about the record business and how bands have to, you know, beat the street, and that they're not getting the breaks that they probably would get maybe in another era. But that's partly too because there's not as much investment. You don't have the corporate dollars going out looking for the next big thing. It's almost like they make the next big thing. That's the new record company model is we'll figure out what the next big thing is, and then we'll create it. We don't have to go looking for it. We don't have to spend money investing it and developing it anymore.
Well, you might be right there, because in some ways, in the old days, record companies would drive out to Belfast, South Dakota, if there was a band out there that was causing some commotion, had some great songs. And nowadays, as I said before, there's a lot of product and not enough demand. But the bands that are out there, some really good groups, newer groups that just haven't slipped through the cracks. Yeah. And the people are probably going, well, who, Chip? Who's name one band that's out there that should be huge? Lemon Twigs. Fantastic. Check them out. Lemon Twigs, fantastic band, great songs. They should be on a major tour right now. But you got a few to slip through the cracks that I'm seeing. Like the Dirty Honey's getting some help, and obviously Greta Van Fleet and Rival Sons and Vintage Trouble have all caused a little bit of commotion out there. But that's just rock. I'm talking. There's pop bands out there that deserve to be heard, and I think right now the wave of the future is whatever you can get out there, whatever moves you, that's what's going to get played right there. Whoever can buy on, get onto a tour, that'll certainly help move the needle a little bit too. But a real band that writes real songs and sings and plays can't ever beat that. And that's one thing that I miss in this day and age right now, is to find that new stuff out there that can take over and give us what we're looking for, which is great songs. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, because when you turn a radio on or put a record on a turntable, you don't see smoke machines and people shaking their asses. You just hear the song.
Do you collect records or CDs? Do you have a music collection?
I certainly do, Michael. I have a big record collection. I used to have tons of records, and then I moved and I was traveling around the country, and my dad and my mother and father had most of the collection then. And then when I came back, I started collecting records again without my mom and dad, because they had a fabulous collection of, you know, all stuff from Richie Havens, the old Woodstock stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Janis Joplin, Rare Earth, Crack the Sky, a lot of 70s bands, you know. And then I started picking up some stuff along the ways in the last 30 years. And I have a fabulous record collection, from the old Smokey Robinson, the Leonard Skinner stuff, to the Beatles. And my wife and I were just shopping recently at one of these little shops around the country, and we picked up a bunch of Frank Sinatra records and a lot of Beethoven and Mozart. She loves that kind of stuff. She plays piano. So my collection is really grown exponentially in the last couple of years. But I don't play records all the time. I collect them, and I have a turntable. I just don't have anything hooked up because I'm always in the studio recording my own stuff or doing my radio show. It's constantly got stuff going on. So my collection is pretty strong right now. It's going to get better and better, but I haven't been playing too many records, although I love the analog stuff. Lately, I'm still on the CDs.
Well, I love that you mentioned "Crack the Sky." That's one that wouldn't be obvious to a lot of people. So it's good that you're a fan.
Yeah. I love the old '70s stuff. I know John Palermo, a fabulous songwriter, and I look at all that stuff, and it means a lot to me because that was a big part of my foundation as a young child. Listen to those records where bands played live. There was nobody backstage, no sequencers, no synthesizers, just guys singing and playing songs about everyday experiences they went through, and perhaps we did as well.
Yeah. What was your first favorite record that you remember growing up?
Probably Creedence Clearwater Revival, Sweet Hitchhiker. I remember buying that 45 as a kid, and I simply adore Creedence Clearwater Revival. I think that CCR was one of the quintessential bands back in that time, writing about everything that was happening in the world, especially with our country and our military, and just regular life, love and death and all the things that we experience when we, as we're growing up as children and into adults. It was a great song. He was such a star. Herbie Herbert, who used to manage Enuff Z'Nuff, told me that when they were putting together all of the festivals back in his late '60s, early '70s, that when Journey seen Creedence Clearwater Revival, they said these guys are superstars. They knew right away. They dressed the part. The songs were very well written, and radio embraced them beyond belief. So that's maybe why I grabbed onto that record in the early days, not unwittingly, not knowing. But there was other records too that were really strong and powerful records that left an indelible mark with me, like Black Sabbath. That first album was incredible. Recorded in 3 days, analog recordings. It's 4 guys in the studio just singing and playing. I learned a lot from listening to the early stuff, but the English has always been intriguing to me because I love Bowie, I love Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Mott the Hoople. Those are great bands, and I think that set the tone for me. But it's funny, I grabbed an American band first from San Francisco that smokes pot and writes about our military.
Yeah. Oh man, do you ever play that game? Your Desert Island Discs. You ever think about what you would bring with you?
No, but I guess if you were asking me that question right now, it would be Beatles stuff and Pink Floyd. Those are 2 bands I'd probably have those records on. Wish You Were Here would be on the Desert Island for sure. Great record. Can't go wrong. Written about Syd Barrett, all this stuff. As far as I don't think I'd have any Enuff Z'Nuff on the my ego doesn't need that. If I'm on a desert island, I got no way to get off there. Although I'm very proud of all the albums that we've recorded, and all the songs that Donnie and I have written. Very, very happy with that. And I think that we've left an indelible mark. And I think the band as we are right now is very strong. Show up there every single night. We never mail it in. The records are still good records. Don't have as beautiful pipes on there. But I certainly learned a lot through my years of making records. And, for any fan out there, when Genesis left and Phil Collins had to take over as lead vocalist, people complained at first, but then after a while, no one said one word because the records were still strong. The songs were good, and the band was out there playing all the time. So I think if you look at it that way, who cares who drives the bus? Let's just get to the picnic.
Yeah, and there's, I think, a willingness on fans' parts to accept someone that's already within the band to take over those duties. I think that really helped Genesis, and it really helped Phil Collins gain that confidence that he needed to go on to become a global superstar. And
on these last tours we just did, Michael, we're out with Ace Frehley in 2016, 2017. We were out with Jack Russell's Great White, 2018, 2019. And then this year out with Faster Pussycat and the Live in Quarantine tour. Every night was jam-packed with people, great crowds every single night. And granted, we're not playing sheds and arenas. We're doing 500 to 1,000 seaters. They still were packed and very well attended. And the people have spoken, and they're happy to hear Enuff Z'Nuff songs every single night. And they see a band playing it without us having to worry about any of the stuff that we had to worry about in the past. It's a formidable team, and it's a great rolling machine right now. It's well oiled, and we're kicking ass, and we're grateful to be out there. The audience is following us still.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Never Enuff, rarities and demos. The interesting thing here is that you guys put out you released Clown's Lounge in 2016, which had some previously unreleased archival songs on it. Where did these 40 songs come from? Was that part of the same batch, or these go back further?
Yeah, I have a flight case downstairs at my house here where I live, and in the flight case is about 200 DAT tapes. I've saved everything we recorded from the early days up to today.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing, and never thought they'd see the light of day. Clown's Lounges, that Derek Shulman came to me when he was over at Frontiers Records and says, "Hey, I want an Enuff Z'Nuff album. You have any material?" I said, "I got some old stuff there, because I want something that sounds great like the first album." I go, "Well, forget about it, because the first album cost us $75,000 to make. It's an analog recording that we did over at Royal Recorders in Lake Geneva. To match that would be almost impossible with no budget." He says, "Well, just send me what you got." And I put together a record and I tweaked it up and made it sound good. And then I talked to Donnie and got his permission to say, "Hey, want to put this record out?" And he says, "Yeah, let me hear what it sounds like." And he loved the energy and the spirit of it. And he said, "Okay, let's go do it." And that's why I put that record out. That was the first one with Frontiers. After that, then Frontiers said, "Well, we want some more records." I said, "Well, Donnie won't be singing on them." And they said, "That's okay. We want to hear what you got." And I sent them a demo of 2 songs. That was it. And here I am now, 5 years later and 3 albums in with Frontiers. So Sarfino and Mario and the boys over at Frontiers, Nick Teeter, those guys are fans. They like the music. We show up every single day. We play. There's no drama. And I think that the songs are still strong. And, one part of the era of Enuff Z'Nuff is there. It's still intact. All the songs are under one umbrella. And the new records are underneath another umbrella. And we just go out, we play, and try to navigate the world the best we can. Got quite a extensive material and a catalog for Enuff Z'Nuff right now. I'm very proud of that, because I think we have 23 albums out right now, counting this new box set. That's unheard of in this day and age, and I don't think we're going to get any bands out there in the future that has this much records. Maybe we will, and I don't want to jinx anything, because I'd love to see musicians get a chance. Pop bands, rock bands, R&B, doesn't matter, hip hop. I want to see them all get a chance to flourish. But to have an illustrious career like this, where we have all these albums out there and all these songs, get on Spotify. We got 300 songs on Spotify. Am I bragging? I certainly am, Michael. It's been a long career for me, and I'm very grateful to have all these songs out there. And if it wasn't for Donnie and myself, we wouldn't hear one thing. We're the catalyst to most of those songs. And I'm moving on. He's got a solo career. I got Enuff Z'Nuff, moving on. Anything that we do with the Enuff Z'Nuff catalog, he'll be a part of it. I feel good about the future moving forward right now with these songs. And maybe there'll be a director or a movie or a soundtrack or a TV show, somebody that needs some material. We got plenty of it right there. And we'd love to share it with you.
Yeah, and Enuff Z'Nuff fans have not been cheated on content, that's for sure, over the years. You guys have put out a lot of stuff. Is there any awkwardness or weirdness when you work with Donnie on something like this, and you have to make that phone call and talk to him? Or are you guys doing pretty good?
No, I didn't feel any awkwardness. You have to ask him that question, but I felt pretty good. When his management company talked to me, they were excited about it, because Frontiers, we has a record, 3 records in place for Enuff Z'Nuff, and they wanted to know how we'd be able to navigate these waters. But this is old material. And most of the old material has been underneath the Cleopatra umbrella. So it was pretty easy to do that. At first, I'm sure he was concerned about how the songs would sound, because we were kids. I'm playing drums on a lot of the stuff. It's just him and I on a lot of these songs in the studio on a little 4-track Fostex machine. But I think that after he listened to the material, he embraced it and realized, you know what, there's some nice stuff here right there. And these songs are like embryos, and it's sort of like a relationship with songs. And it's really important to make sure that when people hear them, we don't want to push it the wrong way. These are demos and rarities. This is not a full-length record in the studio spending, you know, $50 to $100,000 making a record or not, or more, because a lot in the old days it was much more than that. This is two young men in a bedroom in a recording studio recording all their ideas, and we're sharing them with you. That's pretty special. A lot of cats don't do that, and we didn't think it was special at first. And then we talked to our colleagues and people, friends of ours. They all said to us, you know, this is something that a lot of cats can't or wouldn't be able to do. You guys should embrace this. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I think in the long run, the fans are happy as well. They're flying out. The people love to hear stuff they normally can't get. And when you can find a record with artwork that old of artwork, where it's 35, 40 years old, with 40 songs on there unreleased, of us pouring our hearts out when we were in our late teens, early 20s, that's pretty special. I think that's something to share with everybody. And I would hope that they'd embrace that the right way.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think there's been quite a few plays of the "Bye Bye Love" single that's out there on Spotify. Has done pretty well. It sounds great. It doesn't sound like something that just two kids in a bedroom are doing. You know, and some of these they're different levels of I guess polish on some of these songs. Some of them are a little bit more finished than others. But that's what you get with rarities and demos. And I think a lot of people probably be happy with, you know, figuring out where you went from point A to where you are now, and that's part of the journey, and so that's part of the charm of a release like this. And
Donnie and I were kids when we were recording those records.
Yeah.
I wrote all those liner notes on the box set. I put them all together because I was there. I'm going to be transparent and tell the truth and put it out there the right way. Of course, I credited my brother along with Patty Glasscott, who helped me put it all together. But those were ideas and the things that I experienced and I held on to and remembered. And when it came to putting the songs together on the CDs, I did the same thing with Chris Diamonds over at Stonecutter Studio. Brilliant guy who's worked with Kiss and Cheap Trick and all the big bands out there, Ozzy Osbourne. He was kind enough to get in there and help me tweak up and clean up these masters that we had, because it's all 2-track. There was nothing we could fix up, really.
Right.
It was, you know, turn it up or turn it down. There was not a lot of stuff. So he was able to clean up a lot of this stuff, make it a little more presentable, which I thought was very, very important. But I put the songs together chronologically, how I seen them. And I thought it'd be in our best interest to have Bye Bye Love first, because that was a song that should have been one of the records. And for some reason, it slipped through the cracks because we were writing machines. We kept coming up with stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you listen to the records chronologically, I think it really works out well. It's demo tapes and rarities, and that's what it's called. But boy, some of those songs, you listen to them, you go, you know, it takes you somewhere. There's some pretty good fodder in there.
Yeah, I think there's some things that, I mean, do you look at these when you pulled them out? Were you kicking yourself? We should have put this on a record with some of these things.
No, I wasn't, Michael. I heard the songs, and there's a reason why I didn't make it, because Donnie and I were coming up with better songs in our mind, we thought, and we were in this proper studio at Atlantic Records, and Derek Showman knew how to set us up where we can give them our best. You know, we were recording in some of the finest studios around the country, not only at Royal Recorders in Lake Geneva, but we had Chicago Recording Company here down in Chicago, which was fabulous. Great place to record your records. Everybody was down there at the time too. And then, of course, we were over A&M and the Music Grinder. And there's some really fabulous facilities that we got a chance to be creative in, where these demo tapes were all done pretty much in the bedroom and in the basement, you know. And I wrote on there on each CD where we were recording this up, because I thought that was pretty significant. Grandma and Grandpa McNulty, good friend of mine, Mark McNulty's basement. Donnie and I grew up with him. And then over to 2231 Prairie and then Longwood Drive. Those are places where I lived. Mm-hmm. And we housed all the equipment in there. And that's where we did all of our work. We barely had electricity there. So I thought it was pretty significant to make sure that the story was told along with the songs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those, because those are the titles of the 3 CDs, McNulty's Basement, Prairie Street, and Longwood Towers. Are the songs on each disc from those periods when you lived in those various places, or
I would think that most of them are, not all of them, though. Some of them got, because they work better as a package, having them all together. Some of the songs, some obviously recordings were a little less than fidelity-wise, questionable. Only because they're just early songs and early recordings. There was no engineer. Donnie and I were basically doing everything ourselves. For the most part, it's pretty chronological, but there's a couple things that might might not fit those timelines, but it still worked out well with the song, so I just left it alone.
Yeah. What's the oldest song on here that you put on this collection?
Maybe Tara Nicole, which is written about my daughter. That might be one of the earliest ones. I would say that's 1984. Perhaps I Want You Back. That was another one, an early one. There's a few of them on there that were when we first got together and started recording. That would be late 83, early 84.
Okay. And what's the latest one that's on there?
Good question, because I don't have it. I don't have the record in front of me right now, but I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you. I have to look at all of them right there. You know, the latest stuff that we put out would be probably on Clown's Lounge.
Okay.
The 3 discs that you have there with rarities and demos, that's pretty much old stuff from the late 83 through 85.
Okay.
Clown's Lounge's stuff was 86, 87, 88.
Excuse me. Will you be playing some of these songs live?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not, because you go see Enuff Z'Nuff in concert, you want to hear the songs that you know. And
Sure.
so you revert to the first 3 records. The first couple records were gold. And I'm sure the third one's close to that right now because it did really well back in those days. So I like to give the fans what they want. So it's going to be a lot of the singles, you know, Right by Your Side, Baby Loves You, New Thing, Fly Michelle. You know, I like to mix it up with those along with the new songs that we have in our repertoire. So maybe stuff off of Diamond Boy, perhaps that might be in the set. Where'd You Go? We played it a lot. Metal Heart, it's in the set a lot because it did really well. And that Diamond Boy record was the last record we ever had. We had charting here on Billboard. So that was obviously a significant album for us. The new record that is out right now, Brainwashed Generation. We don't even play anything off that record, and it's a brand new record. It came out in July of last year. But I think the fans want to hear songs that they know and recognize, and that's what I've been focusing on. I do it for the fans. Obviously, I love to play songs off all those records, but that would take a Japan tour playing for 2.5, 3 hours to get a chance to do something like that, Michael.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to balance that, I would imagine, because you do have fans that, you know, that have been there since the beginning. They want to hear the old standards. You got, you know, fans that have been with you all along that have an appreciation for the newer stuff. Some of the fans that kind of fell off the wayside a few albums in may not appreciate it and go use the restroom or go get a beer when you're playing one of the newer songs. But it's always, I think, a balancing act for acts that have been around as long as you guys have to.
Yeah, well, for every band it is like that, Michael. Go see the Rolling Stones or Foo Fighters. They switched the setup, and we do too. We throw stuff. I mean, we really took a challenge. It was a real challenging tour on this last Faster Pussycat straight out of quarantine run because we threw Beatles songs that we were doing. Chat.
Yeah.
And Magical Mystery Tour. We would mix it up, and we threw new songs in that aren't even released. We were having some fun in that tour, and I think that's why it was so strong, and the fans really accepted what Enuff Z'Nuff was doing because there was no handcuffs on us. We just went out there and bashed it out every single night. But you go see any band in concert, and they're going to play those stapleless songs that everybody knows because that's part of their fabric.
Yeah.
Can't get out of that. You got to do it.
Do you have a favorite Enuff Z'Nuff song to play?
I like Wheels in the set off the Enuff Z'Nuff 7 album.
Okay.
I like doing that. It was very challenging to sing it. Donnie's pipes are beautiful in it. Wonderful storytelling. That's one of my favorite ones. And Ace Frehley says it's one of his favorite songs out of all the 300 songs that are on Spotify. He loves Wheels. It's surprising. And then you listen to this song and you go, it's not really surprising. It's a very well-written song, and I'm very proud of that one. Recorded here in Chicago, by the way, at Tommy Lipnick's studio, which is the old Smashing Pumpkins manager. And to be talking about this song 25 years later is very special. But there's a lot of songs in the set that I think are strong. I love doing anything up to Diamond Boy record as well. Anytime doing the hits is always a good thing too. So if you can say you're going to sing a couple of hits, that's pretty special because in this day and age, not everybody gets a chance to say that.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Enuff Z'Nuff album? I kind of like Strength, but I think there's several very strong albums. Do you have one that sticks out to you?
I love all the records. Welcome to Blue Island, the Paraphernalia record with Billy Corrigan and Rick Nielsen and Jay White from Styx is a great one right there. Can't go wrong. All those songs, we were going through tough times. So Donnie was a writing machine there. We were really coming up with some wonderful ideas, and That was basically an autobiography on our life, that record. Question Mark record was great. The last one we did with Derek Frigo and Vicky Fox, passing out demos back and forth, and Los Angeles. I think that's a great record as well. Welcome to Blue Island, love it. But yeah, of course, the first couple of records those are great records that we had a budget, we had time, got a chance to record those songs, and no restrictions. I love that. There's not a bad Enuff Z'Nuff record out there as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. You got to work with Mike Portnoy, who's a very notorious power pop fan. How did you guys meet, and what was it like working with him?
Well, obviously, I knew him from a long time ago from the Dream Theater days. But my wife is cousins with him, so now he's my cousin. Guilt by default.
I did not know that.
And I was doing the record, and I said, I'd like to get a couple of guys to play on the record. She goes, why don't you call Mike Portnoy? And I said, you think he'd do it? She says, why not? So then I reached out to him through text, and he says, I'd love to do it. Send me the material. I usually get paid a lot of money for stuff like this, but considering that we're family now, this will be on the arm. Needs a favor. So I sent him 2 songs, and he picked the one. And I'm glad he did, because it was a very Beatles-esque song, and he's a huge Beatle fan. He knows Beatles as good as anybody. Wonderful musician, great friend. I don't see him all the time, but have nothing but respect for him, and I'm grateful that he took time out to play on the record. And of course, right after that, Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick came in and played on half the album as well.
Yeah,
because this was during the whole shutdown here around the world. So it was, instead of just stopping and waiting for things to happen, I continued to move forward and just hustled, called friends to come on down, play on the record. And if they wanted to get involved, it was great. I told them I'd offer them money if they wanted to get paid. Well, everybody did it for On the Arm, because we're all helping each other out. And that's what I call a good music community, when guys giving each other some love when it comes to making music. And you don't play in people's records unless you dig the music. So living testimony right there that guys like Mike Portnoy and Cheap Trick and Guns N' Roses guys have accepted and embraced Enuff's music. That to me at the end of the day is worth way more than any money that's out there.
Yeah, I imagine. Are you guys booked? You guys busy through the end of the year here now that venues are open?
Well, we are. We just came back from our 2-month tour over in the United States, and then the last 18 shows, my drummer Daniel Benjamin Hill, he broke his foot falling off an unlit stage in Atlanta, broke it in 5 places.
Ouch.
So he's currently getting his foot fixed. So we're going to be off for the next 4 or 5 weeks. We had to cancel all the shows we had for September, which is a real drag, because we were out with Lit, and we were doing some stuff with the Motels. We had 4 shows with there's a couple of different bands. Tora, great band. Love Anthony's pipes. We had all those shows got all postponed, and we'll be back out in October. And in the meantime, I'll continue doing my radio show. I'm on Dash Radio. Anybody can download the app, dashradio.com. It's satellite radio. And go to channel 502, Monsters of Rock. I'm on there 6 days a week. Rudy Sarzo's on the show. Got a bunch of cast of characters. Guys and Dead Daisies have their own program every Wednesday. #1 program on Dash, folks. 800,000 people a day listening to it. It's nothing but hard rock and heavy metal 24/7, 365 days of the year. And I get to be one of your hosts of that show every single week. And I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, sounds like fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Chip, you've been so generous with your time. I really appreciate it. You got the rarities and demos. Never Enuff comes out, Cleopatra Records, August 27th. You've got the Beatles thing coming out, you said in November, I believe. You're working on material for another a solo album. You said, is there another one under the Enuff Z'Nuff banner coming as well of originals?
I would think so, but let's try to do one thing at a time. We got the Beatle record coming out on Frontiers, and then of course a shout out once again to the Brian Pereira and Ken and all the guys over at Cleopatra Records who did a fine job with this old rarity demo stuff. Very, very proud of it, and more importantly, thanks to all the fans out there who come out to all the shows, supported the band, our doctors, our military, our cops, firemen. They all show up at the gigs. They love rock and roll and metal. I hail you all. I wish everybody nothing but good health moving forward. Thank you very much for wanting to talk to me, Michael. I appreciate you as well. God bless you and your family.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Have a great day.
All right, you too, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.